G'day. It is Friday, the 20th of March. We are in the beginning stages in phase one of the coronavirus pandemic in the year 2020. And today we have Bridget Surtees to chat to us about the coronavirus and immunity. Is that right, Bridget?
We're looking at food and how and if it does help us strengthen our immune system.
Awesome. And we've got many people from many parts of the world who have all been affected. Michelle, who's usually in Zambia, is sitting at OR Tambo in Joburg. No? Where?
Cape Town.
Oh, in Cape Town. Okay. Flying to Joburg and then back to Zambia.
Yeah.
Goodness
we'll
me.
be in Zambia tomorrow, all being well.
Cool. And Nicola Diggle from, I want to say like Oxfordshire. Is that right? Oxfordshire in the UK. And everyone else from South Africa spotted around probably Somerset West, Free State, the southern suburbs of Cape Town. And Quibus, I'm not sure where you are. But we're all in this together. And Bridget's going to share some wisdom from the dietitian's perspective with us. Bridget, can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So I thought, looking at the immune system and nutrition, it's a huge topic. So what I really did was I got some points that interested me as well, and then looked at the science behind all the claims that are made, the things that you might see on the internet. And there's also quite exciting research on a particular nutrient, which I'll also chat about. So a lot of the things I'm putting forward today is really based on, is there science to support the claim? And if so, what is the claim? Jonno, is your screen still being shared? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the screen that's got my notes in it. Okay.
Oh, sorry again.
Sorry. So yeah, please carry on. Yeah.
Okay. So this is just a quote. The role of the immune system is to protect the human body from different pathogens. The pathogens are harmful organisms and microorganisms that may harm it. And optimal nutrition is essential for the adequate function of the immune system. So I thought to start off, what is the immune system? We all heard about it, but what does it actually consist of? It's made up of a number of different parts of the body. So your skin is an important part of the body in the immune system. It's the first line of a barrier between any harmful pathogen and your body. The respiratory system, so that's your nose, in your mouth. Your nose has little hairs in it, which one of the functions of those hairs is to trap any harmful substances that are going to go into your body. You have your lymph nodes, and they are responsible for mounting an immune response. So they produce the lymphocytes, which make up the immune system. If any pathogen comes into your body, your body recognizes it as foreign and tries to get rid of them, and then your lymph system sends out B lymphocytes and helper T cells or killer cells, and they all mount this immune reaction. It's also made up of your blood cells, your white blood cells, your spleen, and then your stomach and intestine also play a role in the immune system. Your stomach produces acid, which can help kill any harmful bacterial organisms that are entering into your body, and your gut, which we'll talk about as well, with your gut flora or your gut biome, also plays a role. So as you see, there are huge amounts of organs and elements that make up the immune system. So the first thing I thought I would look at, and there are a lot of things that are claiming to boost the immune system, and an actual study was done on, it was a scientific study that was done on looking at the terms boosting and immunity. And if you used Google, what were the claims, and how are those claims backed up with science? And I found that in itself quite interesting. So I just want to actually get, hang on, sorry. Right. So what the scientists are saying is that boosting your immune system, or the actual claim of boosting your immune system, doesn't make sense. Nothing can say that it can boost your immune system. You can't make more cells in your body to help fight infection. The only thing that can be claimed to boost your immune system is vaccines. Everything else can help just support or strengthen your immune system. So just taking that into account, there are going to be lots of different claims, especially now with people trying to take opportunities to sell different supplements and have all sorts of different claims. And when this study was done, it actually was done in 2019, that looked at the claims. What they found is that most of the claims were surrounded on diet, fruit, and vitamins and antioxidants, and vaccines ranked 27th in all the claims. So everything else was claimed before vaccines to boost your immune system. But as I said, vaccines are the only evidence-based approach to actually boost the immune system.
Bridget,
yeah?
What's the difference between strengthening your immune system and boosting it?
I'm going to get there. But boosting, actually, if you look at what boosting means, it means to make more of. So it's making more of the T killer cells, or the B lymphocytes. So the actual use of the word boost is incorrect. It's more strengthened. So it's strengthening all the systems that play a role in the immune system.
Okay, got it.
It's yeah, okay, but I will get there. So I thought, let's look at what. Okay, we can go. So I'm clicking on my slide here, John. If you can go to the next slide. So a better terminology is immune supporting, and the following are science-based. So everything I'm going to say, I will say whether they're science-based or not. So the following are science-based lifestyle factors. And as the coronavirus is a very new virus, a lot of this is looking at what has helped with respiratory tract infections. Because there's not yet a lot of evidence around the coronavirus due to, the COVID-19. So a lot of it is looking at what has helped respiratory tract infections in the past. And the top one is hygiene, hand washing, which we all hopefully by now are doing and have heard of. The next is stopping smoking. So smoking definitely lowers your immune response, and smokers are more susceptible. And sorry, all these immune factors I'm pointing to are to do with respiratory tract infections. So that's what we're looking at, because the coronavirus is that infection. Sleep. So getting adequate sleep. So the studies are saying between 7 and 8 hours sleep per night of good quality sleep is what we should be aiming for. When you look at exercise, now exercise it's a varying response. If you're doing moderate exercise of moderate to low intensity, it's beneficial. However, people who are doing high intensity exercise, so they're looking at elite athletes, actually lower their immune response. And what they found is a lot of elite athletes actually have a much higher incidence of respiratory tract infections amongst them. So the advice at the moment is don't embark on any new form of high intensity exercise. Rather just keep it moderate intensity to moderate duration. So I think it's, I've written it down here somewhere, I think it's 30 minutes a day of moderate intensity, trying to keep that away from gyms, and rather, due to hygiene, but rather do it outside where possible, or play tennis. Then the other one is stress levels. So stress, the studies are saying, it's a very difficult to define stress, because people respond to stress in very different ways. So it's a difficult concept to actually study. But what we do know is that when people experience stress in their body, and as I said, people will experience it differently to each other, they release a high amount of cortisol levels. And it is known that high cortisol levels in your body over a period of time, so this is chronic stress, can have a negative effect on your immune system. So it's looking at ways to actually deal with stress. You know what works for you. Is it exercise? Is it meditation? Is it going out for walks? Is it having a Zoom call or a WhatsApp call with someone? So definitely managing stress levels. And I guess at this time, at the moment, a lot of people are feeling stressed. And it's not really, you know, it's not, some people don't even know that they are feeling stressed. For me individually, I don't know what stress is. I don't know what it's like to feel stressed, but that's not to say my body is not responding in a stressful way by increasing cortisol, where other people can actually feel physically stressed, apparently. The other one is alcohol. It's actually found that alcohol in moderation is quite good because it helps deal with stress, may help improve sleep, but it's moderation. And the current recommendations are, if you look at daily, are 2 units per day for a male and 1 unit per day for a female. So it's not a lot of alcohol at all. When you're looking at a unit, I think it's a shot of, could be mistaken here, but it's a shot of spirits or 150 mils of wine. So it's not a lot of alcohol, but definitely some alcohol is shown to help. And then making sure, again, it's controversial depending your take on it, but that vaccines are up to date. And they are recommending that if you're getting the flu vaccine, so that at least you are protected from something when it comes about. And if you have the flu vaccine, but you're still showing flu symptoms, then you may lean towards them that this is not seasonal flu, this is something else. Are there any questions just regarding that before I carry on?
Thousands. Anyone else have a question? Team members may ask questions too, by the way. No. Bridget, I've got so many questions. Alcohol. What type of study was it that they did that showed alcohol reduced stress?
So all these, no, not necessarily. Yeah. So all these studies are systematic reviews of randomized control. So they are the most. If you look at, you know, your
the gold standard and yeah.
But what they were saying, it was very much, it was oh, I've got a child at my door. Go away. It was a very moderate amount, so very small amounts, and not everyone is going to benefit from it. So it was just, you know, it was a very difficult study to draw. So I've now got this child leaning their face at my window. Just sorry.
The next step is sticky notes in your face.
Yeah, sticky notes. Shame, Bridget.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. I bet you that's what's been trying to be said to me. Yeah. So Jonno said it was more. So it was scientific studies, but they're very cautious in what they're recommending. So it was very. I mean, 2 units a day for men and 1 unit a day for women. It's very moderate amounts. And again, not everyone is, you know, so if you're not a drinker, definitely the benefits of not drinking are going to outweigh the benefits of drinking. I mean, that's always been said. But if you are a drinker, moderate. Yeah.
I mean, I would just sort of want to add to that from a completely, unscientific perspective for those watching. Just like from the sort of anecdotal stuff that I always talk about. And I'd be interested to see if it was a reduction in cortisol that was the measure of stress, or whether it was like many studies where they asked people questions like, do you find alcohol to reduce stress. Yeah. Because typically alcohol does have an acute stress relief effect. But what it does do is it sort of disables your mind a little bit, and the things that would stress you out remain, the next day when you're not under the influence of alcohol anymore. And, people I know who have stopped drinking, myself included, certainly have a greater capacity to intellectualize, or at least process what they're stressing about when they have not consumed alcohol. But apparently the science disagrees. Yeah.
I'm just going to make a note, Jonno, because I'm going to find the study.
Yeah, be very interested to see that. Not to science slam you in any way, Bridget, but just because it's piqued curiosity in me. Yeah. Okay, and then you were about to talk about vaccines, or did you do vaccines?
No, so the recommendations are more just the flu vaccine.
Yeah.
Definitely again, I'm just reporting for at-risk groups.
Yeah.
And the thought processes is, if you do, because COVID-19 can mimic influenza, seasonal flu. They're saying if you've had the flu vaccine, you can then not assume, because obviously the vaccines are based on previous strains, but it's more likely that your symptoms are, if there are flu-like symptoms, could be related more to the COVID-19 rather than seasonal flu.
Yeah.
And I think the flu vaccine's coming out end of March in South Africa, I think.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. Alrighty. Are you ready for the next slide?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to look back. I don't know if you can see my face, but hopefully not, because I'm looking down at my notes. So the next thing was looking at nutrients, specific nutrients and their claims. And I've only put the nutrients down on the first slide where there is actually scientific and reputable scientific studies for these claims. Now, so the one that I guess that everyone knows, or everyone has heard about, is vitamin C. You take vitamin C to prevent colds and flus, or whatever people are advertising. However, vitamin C doesn't prevent any respiratory illness. It can just reduce the duration that you've had the respiratory illness for, and the severity. And the two respiratory illnesses that have been looked at are cold and pneumonia. So they can they don't protect you against getting it, but they can just help reduce the severity of both. And it also does, if you remember back, your skin is an important part of your immune system, and vitamin C definitely does help maintain a healthy skin. So it's helping that first line of the immune system. Now, an interesting study that is currently happening in Wuhan, that's how I pronounce it, Wuhan. They are looking at, they have given 140 patients an ultra-high dose of intravenous vitamin C. And when I say ultra-high dose, they are getting 12 grams twice a day. Trying to read my handwriting. And what they're going to do, they're wanting to see, so obviously it's only ongoing, it's only started at the end of February. They're wanting to see now, they're following up this group of 140 patients to see what effect it's having. To my knowledge, these 140 patients do not, or did not, when they were started this treatment, have COVID-19. So they are, I mean, this is a study currently in the making to see whether ultra-high doses of vitamin C can provide any protective effect, or, reduce the severity. And when I say ultra-high doses, if you look at the current recommendations, is that when the current science is saying, if you take, before you get any respiratory illness, so now, before anyone's sick, we should be taking vitamin C at least 200 milligrams per day. It does not help to take it once you've got the cold. You need to have it before. You need to have that build up in your body before the onset of the illness to get any effect, the reduction in duration, severity. So that's 200 milligrams, which is the current recommendations, or greater than 200 milligrams. Some studies say up to 1,000 milligrams, but in Wuhan, they're doing 24 grams. So you can see that's ultra high dosage. And there are some side effects to ultra high dosages reported in other studies, such as kidney stones and diarrhea. So that's why we don't generally recommend huge doses of vitamin C on a daily basis. Yeah, any questions on that? I thought it was interesting. So where we get it, so from food sources, tomato, and I looked at, low carb friendly sources, tomatoes, liver, and berries are high in vitamin C. But in order to get this amount, you would need a supplement.
To get 200 milligrams?
Sorry?
To get 200 milligrams or 24 grams?
Oh, to get the 200 to 1,000 milligrams. So the studies are looking at supplements over and above your actual food. So your food will help maintain, and then in order to, well, all the studies have actually looked at supplements. They haven't just looked at food. Yeah. For me, the most exciting vitamin D, the most exciting vitamin is vitamin D. You can be excited by a vitamin. It is because it's very, very new. And it's, when I say very new, in the last 2 years, there was a systematic review done of 25 randomized control studies. So these are gold standard studies, and they did a systematic review looking at the results of all those randomized controlled studies. And it consisted of 11,321 people. So it's a huge group of individuals. And what they were looking at was vitamin D status, and the effect on respiratory illnesses. And hang on, what they found is that in all those individuals, your vitamin D status is so important. And not only does it, like vitamin C, we've been told helps reduce the duration and severity, but vitamin D in these studies was actually shown to have a protective effect against respiratory tract infections. And so that's why I put protective, because it's the only thing that is shown to actually protect against, and it's pretty new. And what the outcome of or what the recommendations from those studies were, we can't get much vitamin D in food at all. We get it from sunlight. So definitely getting your daily amount of sunlight each day. I think the recommendations are 15 to 20 minutes of exposing your torso, So it's quite a lot of sun that's needed on your body every day. And obviously, depending on where you live, this is not always possible to get the sun. So looking at supplementation in groups of people. So what the recommendations were is, first of all, is to know your vitamin D status. The majority of people we are finding, and even in my own practice, and I think I've mentioned before, are actually vitamin D deficient. And the people who got the best results in terms of being protected taking vitamin D were those who were deficient and took a supplement. So if you are deficient, your vitamin D, I think your levels, depending on where you get your lab results done, it's 20 is deficient. And these groups of people actually need to have 50,000 international units of vitamin D weekly. It's only available at that dose via a script. If you don't know your vitamin D status, the recommendations are we should all be taking a supplement, especially during this time, because of the protective effect. Now, I've put on my slide, the current recommendations are 2,000 international units per day, but in South Africa, you're not allowed to recommend more than 1,000 international units per day. So just put it out there, but from the study that's...
Sorry, Bridget.
Sorry, Jonno?
So just to clarify, you're saying that the whole world says that 2,000 is like the right amount, but in South Africa,
No. From the study, this randomized, systematic review of randomized control studies, their takeaway from the study. This is all quite new because I think the results came out last year.
okay.
But maybe we haven't re-looked at our guidelines. The reason, so from these studies, they're saying we should be having 2,000 international units per day because that's what they found protected. That gave the best response and protection for people who didn't know their vitamin D status. The reason why there is a limit and why we, traditionally haven't recommended above that is because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. It doesn't get excreted. So in higher levels, it can get toxic. So I guess there's been more caution being done before when prescribing vitamin D. But I definitely have a lot of people on 50,000 units a week. But that's under guidance from a doctor based on their vitamin D levels. And what I would recommend is that everyone does know their vitamin D status as a first line, and then taking the action from there.
Know your status.
Know your status, your vitamin D status.
Bridget, how do you know your status?
You get a blood test.
But do you have to? Does a doctor have to request the blood test?
Yeah, or your friendly dietitian.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, but what they're saying, if you don't know your status, you should still take a supplement. And what they're recommending in light of the COVID-19 is that we know definitely people. Well, what I found is definitely people who have insulin resistance have vitamin D deficiency, linked, and a lot of obese people have vitamin D deficiency. So it's very, very closely linked with insulin resistance. Some of the signs that you might be vitamin D deficient is it mimics iron deficiency quite closely. So people are often really, really tired, can't concentrate really well. If you don't go outside much, or you cover up, or you have a darker skin, your chances of being vitamin D deficient are higher than someone who works outside or has a lighter, fairer skin.
Bridget, sorry, can you repeat that? You're saying if you have darker skin, you're at a higher likelihood.
Yeah, because your skin doesn't let as much because the sunlight has to penetrate your skin layers for the vitamin D, the active form of vitamin D to be made.
Got it.
Now, the darker your pigmented skin, the less sunlight gets through.
Okay.
And people who cover up a lot or put sun cream on as well, less is getting through. So a lot of people, practicing safe sun guidelines are not actually getting vitamin D, and because in food it is so low, and for our population group probably who are following low carb, we're not having the foods that are fortified with vitamin D. So a lot of margarines are actually fortified with vitamin D.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. So for me, that was the most exciting part, vitamin D. Our family are all going on vitamin D from today.
That's great.
Yeah, as I said, I'm just reporting the facts. I'm not advised individually.
Just one last thing. I know that you can't give one specific brand.
I actually sent a colleague a message this morning, Sam, saying, "What brand would you advise?" I knew this was going to come up. Yeah.
Well, what do you use? Are you allowed to say what you use?
I haven't got it yet. I'm sending my husband to the pharmacy today. So yeah, I don't know yet. I don't know.
And should it be with another vitamin? Like some vitamins are best taken with something else. Is this good to have on its own, or?
You often get calcium with the vitamin D. I just don't know whether the level of vitamin D in those calcium ones will be high enough, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So I think, for me, as I said, I can't advise, but for us personally, I think I would put the adults in the household on 1,000. Sorry, yeah, what do I put there? 1,000 international units per day to begin with. I'd need to look at what the children's dosage is. Yeah, and I'm not a big one for supplements. We don't take supplements, but for me, it's the only, the one that's showing the most amount of research at the moment.
Bridget, we've got about 10, probably like 12, 13 minutes left. So I don't know how much more of your presentation you've got, but I sense that we might need to move into zinc.
Yeah, no, so again, zinc, so these are just the immune supporting nutrients. So zinc is found, and this is a question that actually came up, I think, a few weeks ago. Do we need to take zinc supplements? But zinc is found in almost all animal protein foods. And it has also shown, a bit like vitamin C, to reduce the duration and severity. And the studies looking at supplements in particular have shown only zinc acetate. So that's if you're taking a supplement, zinc acetate at that level, once your symptoms appear, seem to help reduce duration and severity. So vitamin C you need to take before your symptoms. Zinc acetate you can take as you get sick, and they have the similar effect to the vitamin C. And for children, the recommendations as a prophylaxis. So all these are, as I said, you need to first of all eat food that are rich in them, and this is in addition, just the evidence that exists for them. So moving to probiotics. The main evidence for probiotics is maintaining a healthy gut, and we know a gut is part of that immune system, maintaining the healthy immune system. So including your fermented foods on a daily basis, such as sauerkraut, kefir, that's really in terms of science. So if you go to your next slide, Jonno, and just stick with probiotics, there's not yet enough evidence in terms of the scientific evidence to recommend a supplement to help reduce the incidence and duration of respiratory infections. So my advice at the moment would just be to include fermented foods in your diet to maintain that healthy gut. And then I just looked, all these other herbs and supplements that are being touted to help you, all of these. So ginseng, garlic, echinacea, probiotic supplements, turmeric, honey, elderberry, bone broth. The science at the moment is not to say they don't have a role, but just that additional research is needed. They cannot claim to help reduce the common cold or respiratory infections, or protect or reduce the incidence, because there's still not enough evidence available. So what I just put there is the different claims that are made, and as I said, it's not to say they don't. Some studies definitely show they do, but there's not enough evidence to recommend that everyone starts having ginseng and garlic and echinacea products. But the one thing that I thought was quite surprising of all of these things, echinacea was the only one where they said all the studies and scientific studies, and looking at it in a scientific way, gold standard, all of them showed it was mostly ineffective. Whereas everything else, there was some benefits in doing additional research, and echinacea was the only thing that didn't find anything. There was nothing to prove in a scientific way that it was effective. Yeah. So sorry, I just rushed through that end bit.
Yeah,
Go for it, Nicola. Shoot.
Well, it's just a question about information, because this information is so useful. And there was also a similar slide that Bridget did a few weeks ago on food sources for various micronutrients. And it would be really helpful if you could share either or both of those after the session, Jonno, if that's okay, Bridget.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you just keep it for your own.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But just in terms of information, and I remember there was lots of talk about having liver and stuff, and I assume that still would be recommended as to up those micronutrients as well.
Yes.
I've just taken some
Sorry,
liver
I was actually meant to end off by saying definitely the way that everyone is eating on a ketogenic diet is definitely the way forward to be encouraged, because you real whole foods, they're nutrient dense foods. They're going to contain all the micronutrients that we need to help strengthen the immune system. Whether over and above you take supplements is up to you based on what I've presented. And definitely lowering sugar. There is definitely science behind that it does have a role, or sugar can play a role in inflammation. And lowering your sugar can definitely help lower the inflammatory processes in your body. So this way of eating real whole foods is definitely the way to continue to be encouraging to eat.
And I just got one other question, if I may, which was in relation to the flu vaccine. We're coming to the end of our winter here in the UK, so it'd be a pretty unusual time to get a flu vaccine. It'd be a pretty unusual time to get flu itself, old-fashioned flu. So I'm thinking there probably isn't much benefit. I didn't have a flu vaccine before this winter, so I don't think there's probably much benefit of having it at this stage in this side of the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons they're also recommending it here is to also just ease off on the hospitals of people being admitted there with flu. So if we can try, reduce the stress on hospitals by getting flu vaccines, if you are someone who does get them.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording now.